Hello and welcome to another episode of Bollywood Uncovered with me, Haroon Rashid. This is a podcast series where I explore what it takes to be a Hindi film star in 2020. Today's episode is called The Power Games, so without any further delay, let the Power Games begin. My guests on today's episode are Mandvi Sharma, the founder of Threeshell Media Solutions and former publicist to arguably the biggest Bollywood star in the world, Shah Rukh Khan, and Viral Bhayani, content creator and Bollywood's biggest paparazzi photographer. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Who holds the power in Bollywood?
I think the idea of Bollywood in itself is very powerful. It's forever been a place of dreams for people. So more than looking at the hard work that goes behind, not just by the actors or the directors or the producers, till the spot boys or the teams behind all of these people, it is this idea of this glamour industry that is the most powerful notion so far.
Fans are the ones who make and break the actor. I mean, finally it's their call whether they like the movie or not. Maybe it's the biggest star, but if they don't like it, it's over.
So guys, according to me, you two hold a lot of power, which is why I wanted you to be my guests on this episode. You know, Mandvi, I met you around 6 to 7 years ago when you were working with Shah Rukh Khan and you were his publicist, and you transformed the man's image. You know, he was always seen to be the people's person. What you did was you made him accessible to people. That makes you powerful, right?
I'm a reluctant publicist. He made me into one. So I learned most of it from him. And because he is a people's person and he doesn't want any other impression going out, every team member is an extension of the brand you represent. He's a brand. He was always a brand before I joined him. And why I keep saying I learned a lot from him is because of his personality that I was lending to people. As a publicist across the world, if you notice, India is just picking up the whole idea of a publicist with a star. But internationally, publicists have been the top jobs of the world, the top stressful jobs of the world as well. And they command a lot of respect.
So for anybody who doesn't know what a publicist does, can you just break it down in the most simple terms?
So basically, if there is a brand like I was working for Mr. Shah Rukh Khan, I take the communication about him, which is factually correct and positive, aspirational, inspirational, however you want to put it, to the media, which is a platform to reach to the readers, the audiences, the fans. So my job is to make sure everything is right, everything is factually correct, everything attached to the brand is represented well.
You're dealing with so many different aspects of the industry: the press, the media, the paparazzi, the stars themselves, the managers who give you their diary, their film PR people as well, who there's a slight conflict with because you're doing PR in a different way. Why do you want to be a publicist?
Like I said, I'm an accidental publicist. If not for him sending me a message in 2012 saying, come meet me, and then telling me that I want to hire you as a publicist, and I kind of laughed because Shah Rukh Khan doesn't need a publicist. I'm sorry, but I think till today I feel that. But I think a brand at his level, when they realize that I've done my bit, now I need the right kind of specialists around me to do their bit, to create the filters that are needed.
Viral, I think you're powerful because in the last 5 to 6 years, with the rise of social media and particularly Instagram, man, you've become this like tycoon. You know, you have this empire of photographers who you send out to the airport, to the gym where Janvi goes. You've got over 1 million followers on Instagram. The stars want to be pat by you. Varun Dhawan is saying hi to you wherever he sees you. That's power.
I don't find myself powerful or anything. It's just love. I mean, I think people love what I'm been doing and they've been appreciating. That's what you see it on my Instagram. People used to see actors dressed up well and well-mannered and all that. In the paparazzi scenario, it's more natural, it's more organic, and we suddenly just pop out of a place and we just pap them, and it's the moment basically. The moment which is captured is what people love to see.
Do publicists or managers tip you off about where celebrities are going to be?
They do a lot of times when they really need us. When they don't need us, they're not gonna tip us. Basically, when a movie is gonna be out next Friday, they need promotions. So Mandvi is gonna call me 10 times. Viral, please come and click him. He's at the airport. He's here. He's meeting this one, that one. But when the movie promotions are not there, there's not gonna be a single call.
So when I see celebrities in interviews saying, "Oh, I'm so tired of doing the airport look. Why do I need to get clicked at the airport?"
No, it's not bullshit, because now what has happened is they are also pressurized by the producers and the marketing team, because they want to push their product. They want to make more money. So obviously, the more visibility, it's better for them.
The other thing is, in today's time when you have social media and how strong it is, both positive and negative, there's a lot of pressure on these kids, on the stars, on the brands that already exist, and on the ones that are entering the industry. Because especially the ones who are entering the industry right now, they're literally signing up the top photographers saying, we want these particular bunch of pictures for Instagram, and we want these particular videos for TikTok. So that's the kind of pressure zone they're coming in. I will always require Viral, but yes, there will be times when my client or my star, my actor or director or producer will say, not today.
What's that मैंने प्यार किया dialogue?
Can a
एक
boy
लड़का और
and a
लड़की
girl be
कभी
friends?
नहीं. Can a paparazzi and a manager or a publicist ever really be friends?
Well, actually, it's we have to work together somehow, but you can't just keep on listening to the manager saying do this and do that. I mean, that's not gonna happen, because then we won't get the kind of pictures we want. I mean, because they will say, "अरे यार तुम तो आओ ही मत, फोटो ही मत मारो, क्यों मार रहे हो? उन्होंने मेकअप नहीं पहना है, ये नहीं किया है, कपड़े बराबर नहीं है, वो नहीं बराबर है." That doesn't work. I mean,
Yeah.
This is what people want to see, the natural thing.
Of
you
course.
know? They don't want to see the artificial makeup and photo shoots.
Can a manager or publicist be friends with a media or paparazzi person?
Tell me one friend of yours you've never fought with. It's as simple as that. Every friend fights with the other friend because you'll not always have the same opinion at the same time. I have, since the time I've started interacting with the photographers, especially in Bombay, I would have to say, they're the most hardworking bunch. So I will be a fool not to always extend an olive branch to them, because I know how hard they work.
They obviously have to push a certain image of an artist, and I always have an argument, this is not the right time. There'll be a time when your wordings I can put up. They want a certain wording.
Yeah.
Superstar has arrived.
Yeah.
Let the
लेकिन आपके
superstar
captions
arrive.
बहुत funny होते हैं वैसे. पता नहीं आप क्या बोलते रहते हैं लोगों के बारे में वैसे.
I think a lot of guys get pissed off because of that.
Really? Because of your captions?
That's true.
But they're actually fun.
Who's messaged you to say change
So
that caption?
many actors do that. Yeah. All of them. Some of them don't matter. Yeah. Some of them don't really bother at all.
Who's the
Like
most...
like Kajol or Ajay Devgan, they don't really care. Never have they messaged or through their managers or publicists, change this or change that.
So a manager handles a celebrity's day-to-day diary, handles their film scripts, handles their movements, so to speak. Would that be a fair assessment?
So there are two kinds of managers. Internationally, you have the whole agent and manager
Yeah.
idea. In India, so far, and especially in the last, say, 6 to 7 years, we have managers which are business managers, and then there are personal managers. The personal managers are literally like shadows to the stars.
Yeah.
So they're always there, they're maintaining the schedules, they're maintaining the lives of these stars. And the business managers are the one that bring the brands on board, the movies on board, and making sure that they keep minting money.
There is literally now only one layer between the media, or the fans even, and the celebrity directly, and that is the manager. Even the publicist is getting time through the manager.
I always have a fight with the manager, because I tell them on the face, when the artist does not have a problem, why do you have a problem? You have the ego, you have the attitude, you have the issue. The artist is cool. It goes to the head. The power goes to their head. Some of them obviously understand, but after a point of time, you need to make them understand that, see, the artist is the one who made you, but just be calm. You can't be so rude, I mean, but every time you try to take a picture, the manager say, "Mat lo, kyun le rahe ho? Ye nahi, रोक दो." But artist ना बोल रहा नहीं है, तो आपको क्या problem है?
Mandvi, as somebody who's seen both sides, and you were Shah Rukh Khan's manager as well for a short period of time while his main manager was on maternity leave. You were interacting with other managers around that time as well, because I think Shah Rukh was promoting Dilwale, if I'm not wrong, around that
No,
time.
we were promoting Fan, and we were shooting for Raees and Dear Zindagi.
All these films at the same time. So you were seeing other managers as well around you and the way they interacted. Did you find that?
So there are two types of managers that I have experienced. One, because I was doing that job, and I realized how much of hard work was going in Pooja's job.
Yeah.
And the day doesn't begin with the star. It begins much before the star wakes up and much later after the star sleeps. And everything in between is your responsibility. One slip, it's not a slip you're making, it's the slip the star is making, and he's going to look bad. So that much effort goes in being perfect at what you do. And hats off. I had newfound respect for every manager at that time because I know my job. I've been a journalist, and switching to a publicist wasn't that difficult. But the manager part, because there are a lot of times you're keeping your egos aside as well. And there's a fine line between ego and self-respect. So there are times when, you're kind of figuring out ways in which to calm your person down, calm this person's ego, and you forget about yours. So literally that person is absorbing so much emotion around and still going at it the whole day. At the same time, I've also seen managers who really don't move at all, and in our industry we say chai se garam ketli, and I think Viral will understand this.
Please explain.
Viral, please explain.
I think sometimes what happens, there's stress between both levels. Like we are like waiting for a star and it has come after so late, and we are frustrated also, and then we remove that frustration on that manager sometimes. It happens all the time, so maybe the manager is not at fault. Maybe we just are frustrated ourselves, and then we do that, and sometimes the artist is also wrong.
You have to understand, like I'm a publicist, I'm gonna safeguard my job.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if a manager goofs up, I'm not really at stake here, at risk here. Viral's gonna look at his job. He has to make sure the right kind of pictures are going on his platform, so that the kind of traction that they're getting help him and the person. For the manager's only going to look at the job. Why should they bother about the publicist or the photographer or anybody else? They are going to be only bothered about the star and that particular job they have in their hand.
But isn't there like a wider humanity that comes into play?
Very rarely. With the kind of stress, like I said, with stress people become really cynical. And it's very rare you will find a manager who's keeping that balance in check.
Can a manager and a star ever be friends?
I genuinely feel they shouldn't be, because that protocol should always exist.
Like I think
it really helps.
There's some really famous examples, like Kareena Kapoor and her manager Poonam are tightest of friends.
Yeah. Rekha ma'am and Farzana.
Yeah. Even closer to home, Kangana's manager is her sister.
Yeah.
It can't get more intimate than that almost. Can a manager
I think it's a cool thing. Why not? I mean, because they're living together, they know everything in and out, the ins and out, the bad part, the good part.
But sometimes you don't want to live with your colleague,
I genuinely
right?
feel that there should be a protocol somewhere down the line. That man or the woman is the boss. Yeah. And there has to be that little fine line where you understand that you're employed for this job at the end of the day. And while you're being entrusted with so much information, you need to be ethical enough to keep it that way. And if tomorrow you move on, that attachment's going to really hurt. I can only imagine, like for instance, Natasha Pal and Chanchal are very much working with Priyanka still, because PC understands the value of teams. So what she's doing is she's making sure that there are avenues created to work with these girls again.
So Priyanka is probably one of the most interesting models in talent management. I know for some people these names might mean nothing, but you go on Instagram, they all have followings on Instagram.
You should go on PC's Instagram and see the latest picture.
But what's interesting is that she signed with Matrix a couple of years ago, but she kept her core team.
Correct.
So how does that work in the dynamics of employment, Mandvi? As somebody who knows the insight.
So not just her, but a lot of people who have multiple people in the same areas, I would say there's a secret hierarchy that nobody vocalizes openly.
Ooh, okay.
So at the end of the day, we know who the star is going to listen to. Having said that, we got to respect the layers. They exist for a reason. The filters exist for a reason. I mean, look at the kind of work she's doing. Look at where she's taking India to on the map. I mean, the kind of work, the kind of projects, the kind of representation she's doing, maybe she does require this layer.
So Viral, we all kind of know that there is a secret hierarchy and somebody's at the top. Do you bypass the hierarchy?
I always do that. In fact, I always message the actor directly on the Instagram. I never go through the manager, and they normally do reply back to me. And then what happens is the manager then replies that आपने उनसे बात की थी. So this is the next morning I get a reply from the manager, because ultimately it goes down to the manager and the publicist.
Viral, do you ever get approached by like competitive PR agencies? Like, for example, there are two main talent PR agencies in Mumbai. There is Raindrop Media and there is Spice PR, and they both handle very high profile clients. But you will notice a Spice has a Deepika, but a Raindrop has a Katrina. Do you ever get approached to put out things that, you know, are kind of trying to outdo each other?
Yeah, they always do that.
They do?
They always do that, but you have to make the call. I mean, whether you want to put it up or not.
But the thing is, right, you know Deepika.
Yeah.
You know Deepika Mandvi, you worked with
Yeah.
her for many
Yeah.
projects. She would not want to consciously put out something to make herself look better.
So I've known Deepika for many years now. I mean, I've known him when I was a journalist and she was a young model. She got her own first movie, Om Shanti Om, and then so on and so forth. The one thing that I know about the girl is she is the decision maker. So no matter, like, it's Spice for now, and I am 100% sure Prabhat and Shilpa must be discussing things with her, and only then it gets greenlit, otherwise not. And Deepika is a very organized person, and at the same time I think she's been very open about the fact that what she's gone through in life, she's also looking at a positive side of life. I've never found that girl saying let's pull something down instead of her motivating herself. So that I can assure you that you'll rarely find a Deepika Padukone saying do something negative. But
Let's
I
not say
have come
specifically
across
Deepika, but just anybody.
but I have come across, like, I do remember this incident sitting in Red Chillies in the refugee area, and a couple of journalists coming, and this actress, which is not, I'm hinting at her, please understand, not quite loved in our industry, but she's one of the top actresses, and she was bitching about another top actress. And the journalist came and tried at least to gossip. And I said, what did you tell her? If you're officially doing it, I think it's his job and my job to make sure that we don't let the people we're working with do something as weird as this, because it's going to come back and bite you.
Yesterday, when I was talking to Bhumi, she said that the definition of stardom in Bollywood has changed. Like, the star doesn't exist. In fact, Shah Rukh is probably the last of the stars, so to speak. Do you think that the illusion has shattered a little bit? Do you think stardom has changed?
I kind of agree with you when you say that maybe SRK is the last superstar.
Yeah.
Because what has happened is, with the superstars, the new kids have learned the do's and don'ts and come to the industry. So yes, when I see an Ayushmann Khurrana or a Vicky Kaushal dropping all their inhibitions, basically, because the superstars always had to have a certain image because they had a certain loyal fan following to cater to. These kids are opening newer audiences with every film they're coming with. So I think they like the tag of actors, but at the same time, India, the land that, you know, believes in idol worship, the fan following is of that stature as well. I still see it in the South. When I'm working with Mr. Kamal Hassan, who is another superstar. So while we say Shah Rukh Khan is the superstar of the country, I strongly believe Kamal Hassan is the actor of the country, the kind of cinema he's given us. We don't have the operas or the habit of going art galleries and appreciating the other forms of art. For us, the only art we understand is cinema, and it is larger than life. And we will always have a star amongst the actors.
I want to talk a little bit about mental health, because I find this job really draining mentally, like exhausting mentally.
Exhausting, absolutely.
You're constantly pressured about what people think of you. How much of a toll does this job take on your mental health?
Absolutely. In fact, recently I did a photo shoot and the makeup artist was doing like, have you ever slept? Because she had such tough time covering my dark circles. I mean,
Yeah.
it was crazy. I mean, my wife is around. The amount of stress I go through is amazingly crazy, because Now even going to the cop station, the cops like, "Abhi mat aao tum." Kitne baar aaoge? It's so much of trouble. Every day there's a trouble. Every day there's crisis.
So people file cases against you?
Not cases, but we have fights and all. I mean, we are on the streets.
Yeah.
Remember that. We are on the streets. We are not like invited people. We are not, out there
invited
as a
everywhere.
guest of Shah Rukh Khan. We are not guests. We are not supposed to be there.
The majority of managers and publicists in this industry are women, but I want to know why it's a job maybe that appeals more to women.
We're in the industry which is based out of Bombay, which is a safer city as compared to all other cities.
Right.
Two, in my experience, found women to be harder working in my field than men. I've worked with a couple of men. I mean, there is Prabhat and there is Parag Desai as well, Spice and Universal, and they both do a brilliant job. But at the same time, I genuinely feel the women are better suited for this job when it comes to handling situations delicately, when it comes to making sure the amount of patience you require for the job like this. I think women have more patience. They are gentler. I mean, I remember SRK being asked that once, you have only women in your team. And he said it rightly. They're gentler, they're kinder, they have more patience, and they're better at the job.
Is it like a maternal instinct that kicks in between a manager and their client? Because quite a lot of times you're at your most vulnerable in front of your manager, right?
I agree with that, because you have to be yourself in front of somebody. The whole day, especially for an actor, is spent being someone else. You have to be a moral citizen, a ideal person, and can be really tiring.
So Viral, Mandvi just said they have to be themselves somewhere. Are there no-go zones for you? Are there places where you will not go and take those photos, where you will let the star have their privacy? Because from where I'm sitting, I mean, there's not a single space you leave. You go to health clinics, you go everywhere.
Absolutely. There was a time when I had the liberty, when I used to do, those things, and used to go off limit actually, where, to cross the line. But now is the time when there are certain restrictions, because now the actor knows you, the manager knows you. They immediately call and say, please remove the picture and replace it, or things like that. So I respect that. I mean, I've seen such amazing gossip and such amazing pictures. It's more emotional. You have an emotional bonding with the actor now today. You understand them, and
so you have an emotional bonding with the actors now, and so you respect their privacy.
Yeah, a lot of actors, they call and say, "Bhai, mat kar aisa. Dekho, kabhi maine roka hai. Have I ever stopped you? If you want a picture, I'll give it to you. But this is not the right time." They've done that. So many actors have called and said, "Please stop it. This is not the right time." And I understand, because see, even I get into the shoes myself, and I think if I was in the situation, what would have happened to me? Because public is what people think, and they make a situation that this is what the actor is all about.
Have you ever seen Adira Chopra?
I have.
Because we haven't.
I have. In fact,
Adira Chopra is, for anybody who doesn't know, Rani Mukherjee and Aditya Chopra's daughter. She's never been papped properly and put on a social media.
We have so many pictures of her, but the Yashraj people, the people who manage Rani Mukherjee, they've called and they said, we don't want any of our pictures out, and we respect that. I mean, see,
where do you draw the line though? Because you won't leave them all alone.
No, because we love clicking kids' pictures, and see, morally, it might not be right, because if the parents don't agree, I think it's not right. Because
but Saif and Kareena say publicly, like, we're fed up of the photos being taken.
Yeah, so we had a mutual decision that we will not click Taimur when the parents don't want. Like, for example, we used to invade privacy. We used to go and click him while he was playing and doing all sorts of things. We used to constantly follow that kid because he was in demand. But there was a point when Saif and Kareena decided that we don't want that to happen anymore. If we want a picture to happen, we will gladly come out and give it. And I think that's fair enough. We respect that.
Looking back, what is the one achievement in your career so far that you think has put you in this position of power?
I think social media has changed the way Bollywood has been. Earlier it used to be the print newspaper, and it used to be all the magazines and all that. Now it's shifted to social media, which is where I got into. I mean, I've also been a very shy person. In fact, I never used to do interviews. I don't even put up my pictures. You must have seen that too. But one fine day, I got into social media, and I'm glad I did that, because that's where the real, I think it's my plus point right now.
And for you, Mandvi?
I think my 5 solid years in Times of India and my 5 solid years with Mr. Shah Rukh Khan, it really helped. Both these jobs really helped. One, to understand this side of the fence, which is where you are sitting, which is where you understand news. And to be honest, I've worked under some very ethical news people around me. So I think, and I really, really look up to, like, Dr. Prannoy Roy is there. And while I wasn't working with him, I had so many interfaces with him to understand how news functions. And 2, when you come on this side of the fence, which you have the biggest superstar teaching you, I'll be honest, it just instills the right kind of method in your life. And even if I can say teach 5% of what I've learned to anybody who's working with me, I'll be most happy, because you don't get to learn this in college. You don't get to learn this in school. I got to learn this on the job, and I love it.
What's the one thing that needs to change in Bollywood?
He's also complained about it. People need to keep their tempers in check, their egos in check, and just understand everybody's working really, really hard, and stop taking yourself so seriously. I mean, come on. Except for the person you're representing, and except for, and I'd say that for the journalists as well, at the end of the day, you're working for a brand, writing about a brand. You don't own both. So understand the realities of life, and then work very, very hard. Keep a lot of patience and keep working, because hard work always pays. Patience in our industry always pays. Egos don't.
I like that. Viral, what needs to change in Bollywood?
I think I'm cool about the way things are, but I like you said, hard work pays. I think it will continue the same way, but I think everyone should be more real rather than being fake. I mean, it's a fake world. Let's face it. I mean, that's why I don't hug any actor. I never do that. If the actor hugs me, it's fine, but otherwise, I keep my distance.
That's a great way to end this podcast. Thank you to everybody. Thank you firstly to my guests, Mandvi and Viral, for being here with me. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in and listened to this podcast on BBC Sounds. If you enjoyed it and you want to listen to it again, then go subscribe, go to BBC Sounds and subscribe even to Bollywood Uncovered. And I will be back next week with another episode. Thank you so much.
If you enjoyed this, like and subscribe, and click the bell icon to keep up to date. For more great audio and video from the BBC, listen on Sounds, watch on iPlayer.